I had to go to my friend's house because I'm cat sitting.
Oh, yes, I did get your cat snap.
Yeah. Her name was Goose.
Goose!
And she has the tiniest meows that aren't even meows. They're just like little squeaks. But they're like not even squeaks. They're just like me. Wait, hold on. No, I'm not gonna try to do it.
They're like.
But it's just like not even like soft, like a soft, gentle one, like me.
Oh.
But like 2 octaves higher.
A soft and good cat.
Yeah.
Those the big
Welcome
fluffy ones that have the tiny voices too.
Yes. Welcome to the Hamsteak Cat Cast.
Where we have cats and just tell you about them incessantly.
Let me tell you about my cat.
Let me tell you about my cat. My cat Max got big over a weekend.
What?
Like I think he got big. I mean, he was getting big the whole time.
Big like big or big like fat?
No, he just got not fat. He just like grew because he's still kind of a kitten.
Whoa.
Yeah, I like dropped him off at my friend's place to watch him over the weekend because I had to go watch my friend get married. He got love married, and then it was my first friend wedding ever. It was very exciting. Weddings are fun, you guys. Then I came back and my cat was bigger than I remembered him being.
So I think what might have happened is they shrank your cat by accident, and then when they were re-enlarging the cat, they overshot. And they're like, that's good enough. She'll never notice.
That would explain why everyone was sort of like looking at me suspiciously, like as I came in.
Yeah, and they're like, here's Max, normal size as always.
I bet you that's why they were looking at me like I was a crazy person when I came in and said, "Wow, my cat got bigger." No, he's giant. He's giant. He's always had big old marshmallow feet, and now like the rest of him is the same size to go with the marshmallow feet.
Aw, he grew into them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
The boy himself in the flesh.
Let's hear it for him.
Let's hear it for him, indeed. So,
speaking of the boy, I don't know, do we start with the boy, actually?
We don't.
No, we start with the girls.
All right, so, welcome to the Hamsteak Podcast, where we read Homestuck and tell you about it. I'm Lydia, and I've read Homestuck before, and we did this backwards.
And my name's Alex, and I super haven't.
Yay! Hey, it works either way.
Sure.
All right, so, bunch of stuff, bunch of ground to cover, bunch of violence.
Yeah, God. Just as a quick,
new?
Since it's been a little while, although I guess it's been a week since you heard the last podcast. Sorry about that, guys, by the way. We recorded the last podcast like a month before it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wasn't able to get it edited until last week. But now we should be on track till the end of 2016 to have you weekly content fed whole grain.
We're here with a spoon, pretend it's an airplane, open up the hanger, here comes some whole grain content.
And also it's ham.
Also it's ham. Ham and whole grain blend.
Whole grain ham.
Don't feed your cats grains.
So we left off with Rose describing her suicide plan to... her suicide mission, rather.
Right.
To Dave. And specified that it was her dream self that was going on this mission.
Correct. So she is going to send her dream self out to go and, blow up the green sun?
Yep.
Okay. So, oh man, it's been a long time since we've been doing these, so if I accidentally spoil you, sorry. I don't remember as well anymore, like, what you do and don't know. So.
Right.
So she's gonna go blow up the green sun because it's the power source for Becquerel and also for Jack now, and so by taking out Jack, she should be able to, I don't know, like, they'll save themselves, and She knows about all this thanks to an informant who needs to... What is it? What did her informant tell her again?
That he needs to die.
Mm-hmm.
And if he... but it is Dak Scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
What?
I said Dak Scratch.
Oh, that sounds like what you get when you don't shower enough.
It is Doc Scratch, who is also powered by the Green Sun.
Mm-hmm.
And if he dies, then Lord English... Wait, do I know that? Then the demon enters the universe.
I can't remember anymore if we know that the demon is Lord English. I think we do. Hang on a second. We're gonna take a detour. We're gonna check our past.
No.
Oh wait. Quickest way. Hamsteakpodcast.libsyn.com, and I'm gonna Control F for Lord English.
Oh my god. So we know Lord English as the leader of the Felt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was heavily implied that he is the demon.
Correct.
But I can't remember if it was explicitly stated.
All right, I'm searching now. Okay, so he's been name dropped in 5 different episode notes, so I think it's safe to say that we know now that he is, he's
the demon who's been here the whole time.
He's the demon who's been here the whole time. It's him.
He. So that is probably not... It's not great that Rose wants to do this because it's going to cause a whole nother can of worms to topple over.
Right, but Rose doesn't know that, like, it would be catastrophic that would happen. She thinks that she's doing this guy a favor.
Right.
Like, a harmless favor, as opposed to a very highly dangerous favor, which Kanaya has picked up on, and is, in typical Kanaya fashion, letting her know that this is a catastrophically dangerous plan.
Yeah, so she calls out Rose and says, I think you're being really dangerous.
Oh.
And she says, your hubris is astonishing, nearly twice the mass of a universe, I think. which totally fixes my problem with Hussey coming up with a bullshit number of stuff for astrophysics.
Bullshit numbers of stuff?
For astrophysics. Because Rose says, like, if that was true, then it would, it's amazing that it hasn't, like, collapsed into a singularity. Which is what I was saying last time.
What was it? Oh, the star.
That the Green Sun is...
It's a magic star!
Right, exactly. But it's just, like, it's bullshit to bring, like, real-world terms into that.
Mm-hmm.
And just pretend, like, a thing that is a star, which is hydrogen. Anyway, it's fine now because Hussey jokes about it.
Yeah, so it's okay.
Yeah.
So Kanaya says that she feels the need to just stop Rose by force because Rose will not be talked out of it, and so she is training a wizard. It's Eridan.
Yeah, remember this? Eridan wanted to learn about magic, which he didn't believe in.
Right.
And so to shut him up, Kanaya has, like, crafted him a wand, I guess. Mm-hmm. We see him holding it, and it, like, gives us some light, but we don't really know what it is yet.
It just says it's white magic, so whatever that is.
Well, Rose has been using some pretty dark magic.
Right. Spelled Magyyyk.
Yeah. And also, when Kanaya announces that she has to oppose Rose, and she's been training a wizard, Rose responds with a single exclamation point.
Yeah.
And Kanaya's like, yeah, yes, your shout pole has been noticed. Which I thought was really cute. Calling it an exclamation mark a shout pole.
I thought that was cute, too. These are good aliens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kanaya was joking about the whole, like, training a wizard to defeat her. She was just trying to get Eridan to shut up. And that's how that kind of conversation ends. And meanwhile, Tavros is having a really uncomfortable conversation with Jade.
Yeah, so at first I was like, "Oh, Tavros, it's been a while. Nice to hear from you."
Mm-hmm.
And then he like starts kind of roundabout talking his like uncertain way, and that he says that he talks to Jade and says he'd like to commune with Beck again.
Mm-hmm.
And Jade's like, "Oh, what was the first time you did that?" And he describes how recently, from his perspective, but when Jade was a baby, he saw in the viewport that she was playing with these flintlock pistols. And he's like, maybe a Wriggler shouldn't be playing with those. And so he kind of commandeered Beck. And just as Jade was about to shoot herself, he redirected the bullet. And he also noticed that at that very moment, there happened to be a felon on the property who was trying to mess with this cute little family of a Lucis and Wriggler. And this felon was taken care of by Tavros, and it was Grandpa being shot by the bullet with Beck and Jade.
Yep.
So that sucks.
Yeah.
And Jade's like, "Oh, that sucks."
Yes, it does. Oh man. So, yeah, Jade has to explain this notion of, her grandpa and having a human guardian, and Tavros apologizes, but sort of takes this opportunity to, sort of
announce that he's confident and, like, this won't affect his self-esteem.
Yeah. And sorry about my cultural misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Nice. So, you point out that this is when Tavros pulls a Vriska?
Yeah. He says he's not sorry because he thinks he says it's a good thing to make yourself the cause of an event already fated to happen. He says that's the way to feel good about yourself.
I see.
Like he says that outright. And Jade's like, what are you, that's really messed up. No. And he also says, well, he mentions that he killed his Lucis by running over it in his wheelchair.
Yeah.
And, did we see that?
No.
In the comic? I
don't think so.
No? Okay.
Did we? Maybe we did. I don't know. Either way.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
And Jade says, oh, I'm sorry about that. Well, I'm sorry about your Lucis dying. I'm not sorry about you being paralyzed. And he's like, oh, it's okay. I'm not paralyzed anymore. I have robot legs now, and I'm better. And being physically handicapped is most certainly the key to having high self-esteem.
That last bit is a verbatim quote. And Jade says, that? I don't know if I agreed with that.
Yeah, so there's basically a lot of Tavros verbalizing things that he has internalized in the past little while, mostly from being constantly harassed by Vriska.
Yeah.
So it's really uncomfortable.
It's really sad that he's internalized all of this, like completely 100%. He owns this.
Yeah. And then it gets worse because in his moments of high self-esteem and his constant reminding himself that he has high self-esteem, he tells Jade that he has red feelings for her. And she says, oh, I'm sorry, I don't feel the same way. And he says, but I'm confident.
Yeah. It's like, it's just shy. Well,
it's basically everything that like a teenage boy thinks like will make a girl like him if he acts confident and like does something heroic and has nothing to do with the fact that she just doesn't like him.
It is such a shame that we tell boys that.
Yeah, it's just like he's so confused. He doesn't like, his perception of reality is just warped.
Mm-hmm. And it's really, I don't know, this was hard to read because, like, I mean, you're right, he's verbalizing a lot of things that a lot of teenage boys think, and I also feel like, so not so much with the angle of trying to win a girl over or anything, but just in general, when you're trying to, like, when you know that, like, you've got personal issues, and you're trying to work on them, but you literally, like, you have no self-esteem, like, it's really hard to figure out, you don't have a good internal compass, you can't really tell whether what you're doing is working or not, because you know that, like, you perceive everything as, like, unsuccessful and bad, and so, like, you can't tell what's working and what's not, and you're like, imagining everything, and I don't know, like, you feel for him, but at the same time, like, he's being really hurtful to Jade in a bunch of different ways, and he shouldn't be. It's hard to watch.
And that's absolutely the thing. It's like, the fact that he's internalized all this toxic stuff does not excuse the fact that he is perpetuating it.
Yeah. So
and it just sucks. It's just sad to see.
Yeah. So Jade, lets him know that, okay, I mean, it's cool that you like me. I don't really feel that way about you. I don't really even know you. And also, can you please tone down your self-respect a little bit?
Yeah, which she's like, she tries to say very delicately and, like, be super clear about.
Uh-huh.
But he doesn't quite get it.
Nope.
So now it gets much worse because Vriska was reading the whole thing because Jade's laptop screen is a holographic projection.
Mm-hmm. And so she takes the opportunity to just basically tear him apart. The name of the page is Thief, Tear into Page. So Vriska's the thief, Tavros is a page. Those are their roles.
Yeah, and Tavros tries his best to just brush it off and, like, tell her, listen, I don't care, or shut up, stop talking to me. And it does not quite work.
Yeah, because Vriska is an impossible person, and just telling her, like, I don't care, shut up, like, isn't going to help. Like, you actually would have to just cut her out of your life. And he's not willing to just shut her down that way, so. So Vriska gives us a couple important pieces of information. If you've read the comic before, you know what she's alluding to when she says, you couldn't even do the one little thing I asked you to, the one thing that would have made you man up once and for all, so instead you flew away and cried, and decided to sleep away your sorrow for the rest of the adventure, because apparently Tavros was pretty depressed about something he failed to do during the course of the story. And also, she alludes to how she learned how to manipulate humans, which is by putting Jade to sleep lots of times all throughout her life. So that's why Jade has a sleep disorder, is because Vriska's practicing.
God. Yeah, that ties up that story arc.
Yeah.
Pretty little bow.
Yeah. She also tells Tavros that his plan to manipulate Beck into fighting Jack is a great idea, and he totally should defy Jade's wishes and just manipulate Beck and do it. But he does his best to stand up for himself.
But then she also says that it wouldn't even work because Beck wouldn't fight Jack because the agents are the ones who created Beck.
Uh-huh.
And then we see this sequence of the agents, Clubs Deuce and Diamonds Droog, back when they were taking the meow code from Rose and making Beck. It turned out that Vriska was making them do that in the human session. So she was manipulating. So she can't quite manipulate humans, but she can manipulate agents in the other session just fine.
Right, and those have a pretty direct line to the humans. They can encourage them to do a lot of things, so. And not to mention doing things like engineering Beck, so.
Yeah.
Well.
And so Tavros says, like, why would you do that? Why would you cause something bad to happen? Like, if you created Beck, and Beck, like, if you created Jack Noir, basically, and he wants to kill us, that makes you a bad guy. And she's like, "Oh, don't you get it? Like, I was doing this because I'm the best guy. Like, I'm making myself the force behind everything. I'm weaving myself into the web of the story." And he's like, "That's fucked up. Like, that's messed up. Why are you doing that?" And not realizing that was exactly what he was doing.
Right.
And she, like, tells him, like, "No, you learned that from me."
Ooh.
And he, like, doesn't get it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this whole notion of the most heroic, like, the foe that it's most heroic to take down is a foe that you created. And so she goes in and, like, post hoc makes herself the architect of her own enemies. Like, evil.
It isn't just evil, it's completely... I don't even know. I don't think I've ever seen something like this before, because it requires the exact story conditions of Homestuck.
Mm-hmm.
With all the, like, circuitous causality.
Well, so I think there's a sort of an analog to it if it was the sort of thing where it's like, you know, where the supervillain deliberately trains someone they know that will turn against them, something like that.
Oh no, yeah, like that's what she's alluding to. But like in this case it's literal.
Right.
And like metaphysical.
Right, it's not just that she's betting that something will happen. It's like she literally, like, everyone already knows, and it's already played out that way, and she's just instrumenting herself in there.
Right.
That's creepy.
It is. And it's kind of a motif here.
Yeah.
Because Tavros is unconsciously doing it too. So while she's talking about these agents and we see the well, I lost my train of thought there. We see Diamond Stroog approaching Dave with a spear, with the implication that Vriska is controlling him.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know which point of Dave this is?
Let me go back and look at that page, because these are actually the pages that I accidentally read last week, or, you know, a month ago when we were reading for the previous episode.
Oh, I see.
So I have notes on them, but I don't remember them super well. I don't remember where that was. Maybe we haven't seen that yet. But it's not, I don't think it's of huge consequence.
Okay.
I think Dave ends up okay. So, but yeah, Tavros calls Vriska the bad guy, and yeah, she refuses to accept it, and so he decides to march off and take care of her.
Yeah, with his trusty lance in hand.
Yeah.
And she says, "Oh, yeah, that's like impressive of you. I'll totally like let you have a fair shot at me. Like, no tricks."
Mm-hmm.
And then he falls down some stairs.
Right, which if you can remember, you probably don't. Kanaya and Equius, who sort of arranged his whole leg, his end-leggening, were like, dude, don't go down any stairs. Like, you're not ready to do those yet. You need to get better at using your legs first. And so he immediately marches down these stairs and falls down them with the sound effect happen. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I've developed a stutter this semester, I think.
Oh gosh.
Not a stutter, but like
I'm in the same. I think I honestly have two.
Yeah.
We're great podcasters.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in to the Stammercast, where we can't articulate words.
Stammer steak.
Stammer steak.
Stam steak.
So Vriska's scoping out Jade's attic.
Yeah. And we see, because there's one of those windows,
mm-hmm.
those, like, what are they called? The fenestration? Fenaport or whatever?
Fenestrated walls, or fenestrated panels.
Yeah. It's the window.
Yeah.
And we see Hussey through it. And Hussey's got the symbol on his forehead saying that Vriska's controlling him. Which is a super uncomfortable metatextual implication.
Yeah.
But it's completely superfluous because it's just like Hussey riding a wish dragon.
That's what it's called.
And acting out the ending of the never-ending story.
Does the wish dragon really puke a bunch of green slime onto the bullies?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just know that it's called the wish dragon.
Okay.
No, you know what? It's called the luck dragon, and everyone who knows the movie was screaming at me for the past 30 seconds.
Oh, man. Yeah, so that happens, and it's completely pointless. It's probably because Hussey, like, hadn't gotten around to writing the next couple pages, or, like, was in the middle of writing them, and so he'll do these sometimes. He'll, like, make little filler pages. I mean, and they're not completely irrelevant, because it's things like establishing that there is a fenestrated panel in Jade's, or reminding us that there's a fenestrated panel in Jade's attic.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was completely pointless. But kind of funny.
Yeah, it was silly. Your note is, it's the dog dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny.
I watched the Neverending Story when I was, like, young. Like, quite young.
Me too. Me too. I have osmosed that it's called the luck dragon.
Oh, okay. So I've never really talked to anyone about it, so it still exists in my memory in this, like, extremely primordial...
Nice,
like,
I love that.
Yeah. I feel like I dreamed it, so...
Yeah. Oh man, I love those.
Yeah.
God, imagine having that with Homestuck. Imagine reading Homestuck when you were 11.
Oh my gosh. I feel so bad for that child, honestly. Because there's so much happening here. Like, there'd be so much to parse. Like, it'd be some weird input to have to your, developing thoughts about morality.
God.
Right?
And mortality.
And mortality, jeez. Anyway, back in John, the actual story.
Yeah, John has reached the end of his echelon. He's the air transparent.
Yeah. I mistyped it. I typed what it's, like, alluding to, and I typed the air apparent, but...
Right.
Nope. The air transparent. Get it? Because air is transparent. Get it?
Yeah.
Huh.
And he did the windy thing.
And put the fire out.
And now we get a game.
Right.
It's the same style as the last game where we were the trolls in the lab.
Right. So, important to note is that while he put the fire out, but then the clouds came right back and trapped the fireflies again, and so there's like a spell that's keeping them there, and he has not succeeded in breaking it, which many of the little salamander people in the game comment on.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's pretty cute, because it's just him walking around talking to the salamanders, most of whom are saying, like, oh, the air might be here, like, the air must have saved us. Is he here? Do you see him anywhere? And John's just, like, humoring them, because they're so cute.
Yeah. He also gives a bunch of them money, because he has, like, literally 9 million boon dollars, and so he's, like, handing them out to people who need things. Yeah.
There's also, like, Pixis things with a bunch of random objects in them.
Mm-hmm.
And did you go into the orchard, I think it was?
I did not. I was trying to get through it as quickly as I could.
Oh, opposite. There's an orchard where you go into, like, the closer camera mode, which was in the first game, where you were, like, banging on some imps.
Uh-huh.
And in this one, there's one imp, but it's fully prototyped. And it is very difficult to kill.
Yeah.
It keeps teleporting around, and your very strong hammer does very little to it, and it can kill you with, like, 4 swipes of its claws.
Yeah.
But when you beat it, you get some uranium.
Oh, I didn't realize you beat it.
Yeah.
Good for you.
It just took some hammering.
Wow.
Didn't really feel all that rewarding. And then John... Well, there's also a little shop where you see these... What are they? Fray motifs?
Mm-hmm.
And these are the songs which are alluded to where the heir has to play a song no one else can to awaken the denizen. Is that right? Or to beat the denizen?
It's not really the same thing. It's sort of allegorical. Like the playing a song thing is a little more literal, and it's not the same as acquiring one of these frame motifs. These you just buy. That one you would have to like figure out by consuming lore and stuff.
Oh, I love to consume lore.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these frame motifs are very expensive. The cheapest one is 10 million Boon dollars, which John is just shy of.
Right, we've been rolling around being like, I'm Mr. Moneybags, and I will give you all of my money because I have way more than I would ever need, and then you go to this frame motif place, and you like, just can't afford anything.
Which is pretty funny.
Yeah. And then, so important to note is that as soon as John gets into this game, he picks up his glasses again, and Vriska is there to congratulate him.
Yeah, and she says, now that you have reached the end of your Escher ladder, the only way to continue leveling up is to level up while you're asleep. And to do that, you have to find your quest bed, which is like a special bed that you have to get into for your quest. That wasn't a helpful comment.
It was helpful for some people. Sometimes you gotta hear it twice. So she's like, I'm not going to tell you where this quest bed is. You have to go figure it out because you're the hero now. And fortunately, one of the salamanders literally just says, this is where the glowing symbol is that floats over the big flat slab looking bed thing, basically. He's pretty much just like, here's your quest bed.
Yeah, and you can also, if you wanted to get really meta, just skip the flash and... On the next page, she's at the quest bed.
That too.
But it's this cool, like... It's on top of this huge spire of rock. Mm-hmm. And it's like this stone slab with the Air of Wind symbol, which is like kind of a swooshy equal mark. Mm-hmm. And it's like 4 posters, except without a canopy, it just has these like orbs on top of the spines. Actually, isn't it just like Jade's bed?
Yeah. It's like a really tall version of Jade's bed.
Right. Yeah. But it's made of stone, so he lies down in it and he can't get asleep.
Nope.
So Vriska offers to put him to sleep this time. And he says, you're going to ask me this time? Are you going to, like, get informed consent?
Yeah.
He doesn't say that, but, you know. And she's like, yeah, you're the hero now. Like, you get to make your own choices.
Great.
Ugh.
So, I just want to talk about the imagery of the quest bed for a second, because it's, like, one of the most iconic, like, Homestuck images. Besides, like, the symbols themselves, like, it's a really iconic image of John's quest bed up on this rock spire over the land of wind and shade, which is, like, just completely beautiful. We haven't really talked about imagery on here in a while, but we'll have a couple of things to say about it this week. And, I don't know. The Land of Wind and Shade is really beautiful, and this spire is really beautiful with this stone bed on top, and it almost feels a little bit C.S. Lewis.
I totally see that, yeah.
You know, like, mixed with something very sort of uniquely Homestuck, like, in the flat colors and the sense of enormous, impossible scale. I don't know. I really like this image. I actually have a poster of it.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's really striking.
Yeah.
So John goes to sleep, and Jack is there.
Yep. Jack is looming over him with his sword.
Yeah, so my first reaction...
So wait, what are you reacting to? Because Jack stabs him through the chest is the important thing.
So the page before that is just Jack kind of standing beside him.
Yeah.
And he is fully prototyped with his, like, triangle glasses and pointy ears and cheek fur. And he's got his hand for some reason is what made me lose it. Like, he has, like, a narrow arm that extends out into this huge, like cartoon hand holding the sword.
It's foreshadowing! Or not foreshadowing, it's foreshortening.
I didn't even see that. It just looked like... It didn't look like he was holding it over John. It looked like he was just, like, striking a cool pose. He just looked super dorky in that image.
It's the anime shades that do it.
It's totally that, yeah. He's so much now.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even look like Jack at all. Like, that's the thing to me.
Yeah, I think this is the point in the comic at which most people start calling him Beck Noir.
Yeah.
But that's confusing for me, because I confuse him with Beck, so I still call him Jack.
Well, because he looks more like Beck than Jack, because it's his head. Like, So yeah, I see. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do.
I'm fine with just continuing to call him Jack if you are. And then we'll just have to distinguish him from the Jack in the Trolls universe.
Right. But yeah, he stabs John through the chest.
Yep.
What
was your emotional reaction when that happened? Like, tell me what you were feeling and thinking.
I'm surprised. Like, I was expecting... I don't know, like, I was expecting Bro to, like, fly in and kick him in the face.
Ah.
Like, literally, like, last time we saw Jack with, like, the fight on the record, I think it was.
Yeah.
But no, like, there's no one to stop him now. He just stabs John in the chest. And it zooms out on John bleeding out on this stone slab.
Yeah.
But I obviously know that John continues to be an entity in the game, in the comic.
Right.
So death is kind of, like, desensitized to an extreme extent.
Yeah. How did you know that John would continue to be an entity? I think that's, like, natural that you would. I'm, like, curious as to what it was that gave you that sense.
I mean, like, I have, like, contextless spoilers.
Right.
Of, like, things, like, John. I know that John continues to exist.
I see.
And actually, in this flash that we see now, where Dream John and Dead John basically fuse in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dream John gets a power-up from Dead John, and he gets a new outfit, which is blue with this long, like, scarf.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen, like, that outfit before. So I know that John has a new outfit.
Oh, I see.
That I hadn't seen yet.
Yeah. Like, I've seen them in outfits that I haven't seen in the comic yet, so they must stay alive a while longer. Oh, man. See, that's one of the few moments where I really feel like you've missed out on something by having seen this comic, like, while having, like, sort of peripherally experienced, like, little bits and pieces of discourse about it. Because when I read this, like, I had no context for it at all. I had never seen any other media. I was reading it in a vacuum. And when I got to this part, I was like, oh no, like, John's dead. And, like, that's the kind of thing that, like, I felt like Hussey would do. So I was just like, he's dead! Like...
Wow, yeah. Yeah, it is a totally different experience. Kind of coming at it from a clinical angle, I guess. Or a more clinical angle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm dissecting it slowly instead of, like...
just mainlining it.
Voraciously, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I can't, like, take it at face value, ever.
Aww.
Which, I mean, I don't think it is something that really wants to be taken at face value. I think it wants to be thought about a lot of the time.
That's true.
But definitely in moments of just, like, pure emotional reaction, it's too bad that I can't really have that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, I think you still get to have, like, you get to, like, engage with a lot of it, like, in the scene that we're going to see later, especially with Tavros and Vriska, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like that. So...
Yeah, exactly.
But I do, yeah. So I guess this scene kind of loses some of its impact, but like, I don't know, for me when I was watching it. So we should actually describe the Flash. Not a ton actually happens. We see it, we start out by seeing it through the Wayward Vagabond's eyes. He's watching John be stabbed through his terminal, and he's horrified. Mm-hmm. And then all of these fireflies gather on top of John's body as he's like bleeding out on top of this spire. And then we see his dream self's body swap in, right? The four spires at the four orbs on the top of his four poster bed spires, they start glowing, and his dream self swaps in, and then, your dream self becomes bloody when your real self becomes bloody. So it's starting to become bloody too. And then, we see the blood like disappear off of, we're zoomed in really far, and we see the blood disappear off of John's arm. And then we look at the other three kids who are all on their respective planets, like looking up at the sky and like shielding their eyes because Skaya is glowing so brightly. And then it shows the windy symbol. And then we go back and you see John floating in the sky of Skaya in his windy jammies, which are his god tier gear. And then, I don't know, so it's really beautiful, like the imagery of the spire, like glowing with all of this light as all of this happens. And then you go back to, you go back to WV, who you realize hasn't seen any of this because it all happened on Skaya. And
oh yeah.
Yeah. So all he's seen is John's dead body on this spire and Jack killing him, and he frowns with anger and he turns off his viewport.
See, what I got from that was that Jack saw only what happened there. He didn't see this happening. Oh,
well, I guess Jack didn't see it either.
Yeah.
So that's also important.
We both picked up on different aspects of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way that things are conveyed in these flashes, like they're very, very semantically dense, and you're supposed to infer a lot from like little shots and the way that things are transitioned, and I don't always catch them, so it really helps to read them with a second person.
I think you catch way more than I do.
It's because I've read it a bunch of times.
True.
And looked up explanations.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we should also mention that WV was also on Skaya as this was happening. So, like...
Oh, his past self, yes.
Yeah. So there's a corresponding spire on Skaya that he sees glowing. And probably he doesn't really understand at that point what's going on.
Right.
So it's not surprising that his future self doesn't make the connection.
Right, I see. I missed that frame as well, so... Yeah, there's a lot to pick up. It's only like a minute long.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot to pick up, so...
And then we cut to Dave on his own quest bed. And Dave stands ominously over him.
Mm-hmm. Dave stands ominously over himself.
Yeah.
In a different outfit.
With his sword drawn.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has a talk with Terezi.
It's such a long talk, and it's so long for, like, no reason. Even for character really development, it's really long.
And it's just hard to read this much of Terezi. Like, my eyes just kind of glaze over at some point.
Yeah.
Like, just to get, like, the shapes of the words.
Yeah. Because her typing quirk is all caps with A's, E's, and I's replaced with 4s, 3s, and 1s, and it's like... It reads to me, it's like trying to listen to someone talking through a mouthful of marshmallows.
Mm-hmm.
That hurts. But so we're just gonna summarize, because like they like banter for like literally like 8 pages, and the whole thing is just Dave. This is the Dave with the sword is sort of a little bit from the future, or he's done more time traveling or whatever. And he saw John go God tier, and he was pestering Terezi, saying, I want those powers too. How do I do that? How does God tier work? And she said, all right, I'll tell you. Do you want to find out now or later? And he was like, I don't know. What do you mean? And she says, okay, well, I'll flip a coin. You decide what the heads and the tails mean.
Well, two heads, because she has a two-headed coin.
Right.
She says good head and bad head.
Because the bad head has a little slash on it. But so she says, okay, so you decide which one means now and which one means later. And if you want to find out now, what I need you to do is go and lie down on your quest bed. And if you want to find out later, go and do all of this other stuff. And I'll flip the coin and I'll tell you what it is. You don't have to tell me which side means what. I'm just going to flip the coin. And she flips the coin and she tells him that it's bad heads. And so he goes off and he does some other stuff. And now he finds himself back here and he's confused because he's like, I didn't lie down on the bed. And so she's like, well, but in an offshoot timeline, you did. And since you're the Alpha Dave and not the guy who decided to sleep here, he's doomed. He's from an offshoot timeline. He will die anyway. Paradox Space will kill him. So do him a favor and kill him quickly. And he's like, I don't understand what would be the point, because then wouldn't he go God tier and like still be doomed anyway? Like, that's a huge waste too. And he goes, she's like, all right, you got me. It was just a ruse. I just wanted to make sure that you understood the gravity of what it was that you were asking me about, because it's one thing to tell you and another thing to have to face it. And like, all she was really trying to tell him is that like luck doesn't matter, right? Like coin flips and luck and whatever. And yeah, it was really kind of pointless. It was supposed to be really cool, but I honestly found it kind of pointless.
The sting is that she didn't even look at the coin.
Right.
And she's like, what, are you going to ask a blind girl to look at a coin? Like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Yeah, but basically it's kind of just to cut directly from her saying luck doesn't matter to Vriska.
Vriska, who is, who loves to say that she has all the luck, who has just been pummeled to within an inch of her life by Aradia and is now lying covered in blood, totally surrounded by blood, on this island, and Tavros is sort of kneeling over her.
Yeah, which is a really striking image until Tavros starts leaning in to kiss her. And he has an exile voice in his head telling him to kiss her.
This is it, right? Here's your chance, he says. Now,
to
be fair, he's not kissing her to be creepy. I think he thinks that she's dead, and he's going to, like, revive her. Because you kiss a dead person to bring back their dream self comes and takes their place.
Oh, I forgot about that completely.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Otherwise, this would be, like, horrendously, like,
yeah, I
gross.
thought it was just totally gross.
Yeah. No.
All right.
Instead, it's this exile, like, turning it into a gross thing instead of just a, like, save this girl's life thing.
Yeah.
So.
But then his arm starts moving of its own volition and dips a finger in Vriska's blood and spells out, I ain't dead just yet. And it's Vriska controlling his arm to communicate with him while he's holding her nearly dead body.
Mm-hmm. She says, oh, now you want to kiss me? Little late, don't you think? Save your breath, Paige. I ain't dead just yet. And gives him instructions. She says she has him write in her blood, I need you to fly me to my quest bed. Are you ready to fly, pupa? With 8 Ys. And can you imagine how painstaking it must have been for him to have to, like, write all of those Ys out, like, knowing what would come next and knowing that she was dying and he had to, like, fly her somewhere and he was being roped into all of this, like...
And that's just the start.
Oh, yes.
So she has him set her up on her deathbed, which is in this, like, beehive kind of structure on top of this spire island.
Mm-hmm. It's really beautiful. It's a beehive on the outside with a hollow top.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the floor inside of it, there's this quest bed with a sun symbol and this, like, beam of sunlight shooting down, like, beatifically.
It's honestly, like, maybe the most gorgeous art I've seen so far. Like, this is... And, like, the way that, like, it's this kind of dull orange stone, all this. And it's all mixing with her dark blue blood. which are like complementary colors, and so it really like is very visually striking.
Mm-hmm.
And she's getting him to write more and more stuff. She's basically saying, "I'm not going to force you to kill me. I want you to do that yourself." And he's standing over her, at this point quite covered in blood, holding his lance and with a very pained expression.
Yeah, and she's like, "Don't make me bleed." She makes him write, "Don't make me bleed to death slowly. Like, please make it quick."
And then we see Dream Vriska, who it seems is the one who's communicating with him.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is she, in his mind, there is a royal exile with the flowy text talking to her, basically saying, like, just make him do it quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't draw this out. And then she starts arguing with this voice in her head through Tavros's arm.
Yeah.
And so Tavros has to write out all these arguments from two different people in his not friend in this person's blood who's dying, and it gets crossed out, and there's handprints, and he's covered in it, and at some point his own blood starts getting mixed in, which is brown, and it's just like unbelievably gruesome. Like, this is... I was at a loss for words here.
Yeah, this is definitely, like, one of the scenes from Homestuck that I remember most strongly, because it's so... It's, like, it's gruesome, and... I don't know.
But it's not, like, for shock value. It's, like...
It's poignant.
Yeah.
Right, because it's not... Nobody's, like, horrifically, like... There's no, like, missing legs or whatever. It's just... She's just lying there, but there's just all this blood. And
it's also this totally alien, like, blue and brown blood on this, like, bizarre, like, raised pedestal inside a beehive with this, like, orange sun above it. And, oh my god, it's just, like... And also, he's, like, crawling around, like, writing on the walls and the floor.
Right,
and,
recall that he is paralyzed and he's gotten out of his hover car, so he can't use his legs. He's dragging himself around.
Yeah, he had to drag her across the room onto this bed.
Yeah.
God.
And so, I don't know, another image that I find really arresting about this is we periodically cut to, like, the way that we know that her dream self is controlling him and that this exile is talking to her is we see her on Prospit, and Terezi is watching as she becomes, like, hunched over and, like completely livid with rage, and this blood, like, is soaking her pajamas. Like, she's covered in her own blood in the dream, too, and, like, gritting her teeth and, like, grabbing her head and trying to, like, handle all of this. And then, you know, she has Tavros write "kill me" on her forehead and then "kill me" on his own forehead. I don't know. And then Diamond's Droog. So before it was Heart's Boxcars talking to Tavros saying, you know, you need to kiss the girl. And now it's Diamond's Droog saying, take her out. Like, don't drag this out, kid. And he can't do it. He says, what are you, a wimp? And he can't do it. He's, like, grabbing his head and sobbing. And the next thing we see is Tavros flying away in his hover car.
With his, like... His face is just, like, racked with grief and fear.
Yeah.
And the hive blows up somehow. Not really sure how that happens.
Yeah. We'll hear more about that later.
Okay. But Vriska goes God tier.
Mm-hmm. And it's really jarring. Like, the last time we saw her was, you know, covered in blood and, like, surrounded by blood and with "kill me" on her forehead. And the next thing we see is just her grinning her shit-eating grin in these god tier pajamas. They're orange, and she has blue butterfly wings, and there's a sun symbol, and she has a little hood, and she's just grinning and flying.
Mm-hmm. With her 2 eyes.
Oh, yes, she does have both eyes and both arms.
Yes.
Like both flesh arms. So, and then the console for viewing Vriska flips off, and we see the exile that's been watching all of this and talking to Vriska the whole time.
And it is indeed the royal exile. It is Snowflake.
Fuck you. You pleased with yourself?
Yeah, it's Snowman. Remember her?
Yeah. The name really doesn't fit. It really just makes me think of corncob pipes way too much. I guess it kind of fits because it's so, like, it's, like, just discordant enough that it's, like, woo, like, spooky.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very, like, it's feasible as, like, a mobster nickname. Hey, have you heard Snowman's in town? Oh god, he's gonna get us all.
Yeah.
I heard that Snowman's no he at all. It's a dame.
It's a lady. Yeah.
And you know why they call it Snowman? It's because Snowman can keep her down.
Ah! I just woke my cat up. I woke him up and he ran under my couch.
Oh my gosh.
Your goof alarmed a cat like 1,000 miles away. Are you proud of yourself?
I'm very powerful.
So it's... Did we mention that it's Snowman?
Yeah, and she kind of teleports away or like phases out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And we see like in her body either reflected or like her body contains these galaxies, and there's this huge like flash of becquerel green on the side that we can't see what the source of is.
Mm-hmm. And
that's the end of the reading.
Woo!
Holy moly.
A lot of things happening this week.
A lot of things?
A lot of things. A lot of death.
A lot of death. And a lot of blood.
Yeah, we should maybe do a content warning, maybe?
I mean...
Nah.
I think...
Homestuck is its own content warning.
Yeah, blood is kind of part and parcel.
Yeah, that's true. There sure is a lot of blood this week.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah!
We don't have any questions this week, but that is because next week we are going to have a lot of questions, hopefully, if you ask us some. We want to do kind of a 12th Parodies Eve special, where we're not going to do a reading next week, but we're going to take a bunch of questions and kind of discuss the past year and how Homestuck's treating us so far, and I'm going to try to recap very condensedly again, which I think will be much harder this time, because there's kind of 4 more layers of metaphysical junk on top of what was pretty self-explanatory last time.
Did you just invent the number 4 there, or do you...
Yeah. That was off the top of my head.
Okay. There's at least 2, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah, last time I did a recap, I was alluding to the fact that there might be a second universe with a second session.
Right.
Whew.
Boy, the paradigm has shifted.
Paradigm space. But yeah, thanks for listening, and thanks again for bearing with us while we were in cat hell.
That's basically what it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You guys are awesome, and we'll send out messages and stuff to, beg you for questions. Questions about, anything you ask us about making the podcast or Homestuck or, I don't know, kind of whatever. Don't
Lydia's cats.
You can ask about my cats. don't, like, be weird. You know what we mean. Like, don't ask us, like, personal advice questions. This is not that podcast.
That's a great point. Like, if you want to speak to us as human beings, please do so in our inboxes. If you want to discuss the podcast or the content we discuss on the podcast, even if that doesn't have to do with Homestuck, like cats, for example, or just, like, ask us, like, hey, what's your favorite spaghetti?
I love to talk about spaghetti.
Me too. I'm sorry for all the bad mobster voices I just suddenly did at the end of this. By the way.
It's okay.
It's okay. She's Italian-American. I can make these jokes.
They were really bad.
That was maybe too far.
They were really bad mobster voices, okay? I'm offended.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait, no.
Wait.
Where can you find us?
Oh, I'm on Twitter as BrickChip. I'm dead on Tumblr. Don't message me. I have a blog, but, like, don't worry about it. Find me on Twitter. I'm BrickChip.
I'm Crunchleaf on Twitter, and I'm on Tumblr at LeafCrunch. And you can ask us questions at hamsteak.tumblr.com.
hamsteakpodcast.tumblr.com.
You're right.
Or on Twitter, where we are at hamsteakpodcast.
Yeah. You could even email hamsteakpodcast@gmail.com.
When was the last time you cracked open that inbox?
Ugh, it's rancid in there.
All right, well...
I left some beans in the bottom.
Oh, no.
And, yeah, it's just... Oh, man, it's not good.
All right, well, we're going to have to get to bean scraping, then, because we will be checking that, and we'll be checking everything to hear from you.
Yeah, put your emails in a plastic bag.
Yeah, just so that, you know, the smell... things can kind of, like, absorb the smell from other things, so...
But yeah, until next time, next week, crossing my fingers.
Yeah.
We will, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
I say it for the 5th time, but I mean it every time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.